Hello and welcome to On Preachy, a podcast of homilies and reflections by the voices of St. John Chrysostom Parish. Today, Father Ed Hallinan reflects on Matthew chapter 18, verses 21 to 35, the Gospel for Sunday, September 17th, 2023.
Again, welcome everyone. Faithful band, I particularly loved the psalm response that you sang this morning. That was really nice. Forgiveness, something that we would rather not deal with. If there's something that we want to put on a back burner, it's forgiveness. What we put on the front burner, anger, resentment, and hate. That sort of stirs us up, gives us motion in the morning, gets us through the day. God, I hate that person. And forgiveness. I'm going to propose to you 3 points. The first point, in order to forgive, I believe we first need to forgive God. Now, you may say, forgive God, God forgives me. Well, why would I have to forgive God? I can remember 8th grade, 1969, 1970. And I can remember 2 years when I was in 6th grade, one of my mom's sister, she was in her mid-30s. She had 3 kids that were my cousins, and she died of cancer. And I can remember how devastating it was to be a child and to see your mother cry. Like, it was the worst feeling in the whole world, seeing your mother cry. And so it's 2 years later, and my mom and dad sit me and my 2 sisters down, and my mom says, look, I just found out that I have, breast cancer. What do you call it? Our aunt just died of cancer. And again, this is the late 60s. The advancements, aren't made. And, I think we think it's going to be okay, but, we just want you to know. So my 2 sisters, they immediately start sobbing. I don't want anyone to see me sobbing. So in the middle of the day, I say to my mom and dad, I'm going to take a shower. And so I go into the shower and I sob. But I not only sob, I blast God. You took my aunt. You're going to take my mother. I wish you could give me the cancer so my mom doesn't have it. And I am just so angry at you. 13-year-old kid. And sometimes at that age, how we deal with things. And so at a certain point in my life, I had to go back to God and say, I forgive you. Oftentimes, we need to do that. And we sort of don't do it because we can't believe that we're mad at God in the first place. And if we forgive God, we acknowledge that we were mad at God. And I'm saying to you, if you have anything you're carrying that you feel you need to forgive God, but you don't want to admit it, get over it. Okay? And do it. Get on your knees get in your favorite chair and picture the Lord sitting right next to you, because we believe that God is present everywhere. And forgive the Lord. That's step one. Step two, in forgiveness, forgive yourself. Now, the reason I put God, the first person we have to forgive, is because in order to forgive ourselves, we need the assistance of God with that. So one of the things that we have to get, we go into the garage or where we have our tools and we get a claw hammer. And when we get the claw hammer, we take the nails out of our hands. We take the nails out of our feet and ankles, and we begin to forgive ourselves with the help of Christ. As we go through lives, we commit sins here, there, and everywhere. But sometimes, as we go through life, we commit a sin that we sort of can't believe that we did, and we're really regretful of it, and we bury it. We bury the sin because we're so ashamed that we did this sin. It's so unlike us. So the second thing that we need to do is to take the nails out of our hands and our feet. Possibly when you look up, it's the Lord that's got the claw hammer, and he's taking out the nails. He's rubbing your hand. He's rubbing your side. He's rubbing your feet because he wants to see you forgive yourself. That could take weeks, could take months, it could take years. But it's so, so important with the grace of God, with the presence of Christ in your life, that you come before the Lord and you just hold yourself up to the Lord and you quietly say in your mind, Lord, that thing that I did, that I buried, I am so sorry. Would you help me to forgive myself and to heal? Heal. That's what Christ did all the time. He was healing people. He wasn't teaching doctrine to them. He wasn't saying, get in the synagogue. He looked at what was immediate. And what was immediate is that people were hurting. And he wanted to bring healing to those people that were hurting. And finally, we need to forgive others. And again, God is first, we're second. If we don't have God, and if we haven't forgiven ourselves, we're not going to be able to do step number 3. Because we need God, and we need ourselves to forgive others. Now, who are those others? Well, I would propose to you, if you have feelings of anger, resentment, or hate, you should follow it and see what it leads to. If it leads to a particular person, if it points to a situation that you experienced in your life, whatever it is that anger, resentment, and hate point to, that you have in you, that's who you need to forgive. And if you go to God, God is going to help you to do that. And you may say to yourself, Father, I've tried on numerous occasions to do that, and I was unable to do that. Well, maybe you're able now, because your spirituality, your relationship with Christ, you're recognizing the holiness of yourself. You have those things to help you to do the thing that you think you're not capable of doing. So as you receive the Lord today in the Eucharist, thank Him for His reconciling love. Thank Him for His reconciling mercy. And know that Jesus is your biggest fan. Jesus is rooting you on, because when He looks at us, He wants us to flourish. He wants us to be full of the Spirit. He wants us to have joy in our lives, joy in our hearts, joys in our family. And we know that a major step that leads to that is forgiving God, forgiving yourself, and forgiving others. God bless you.
Unpreachy is a production of St. John Chrysostom Parish in Wallingford, Pennsylvania. Visit us at sjcparish.org. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend. This podcast was produced by Brendan Lorden with music by Skytoes on Upbeat. Thanks for listening. Be well.